Chapter 23. We met at the playground in the morning. It had been my idea to start doing that, but I hadn't told them why. I bet Theo knew, though, since I first suggested it so soon after he and I found out about Alana. We've been doing it for almost a week. I didn't want her to see us, didn't want her to invite herself over to Julia's or Theo's. It's like I wanted to erase her from my life. She rode her bike by us a few times the first couple of days, but didn't stop. I saw her go over to the Collinses and help with the young twins. They climbed all over her like she was a toy, which, in a way, I suppose she was. But that first Tuesday in August, it was blisteringly hot. Pool, Julia said. Must have pool. I didn't want the risk of running into Alana until I figured out how to talk to her, but how to look into her not really real eyes. But Julia was right. It was too hot to be anywhere but in her swimming pool. When we parked our bikes, Julia's mom was across the street talking to Alana's mom. Meryl had her hair wrapped in a scarf with threads of silver and gold wound through it. They glittered in the sun, making Julia's mom, always so perfectly dressed, look dowdy in comparison. Julia's mom had her hand up on her forehead, shielding her eyes from the sun. She was nodding, but her body was tense and turned a little bit away from Alana's mom. Then Alana's mom leaned over and hugged her, which seemed strange, especially given the heat. Julia's mom crossed the street, heading straight for us. Alana's coming over, she said. You can go in the pool. I'll make sandwiches. Mom, Julia began. I wonder what she was going to say. We don't like her anymore. We aren't friends. But Julia didn't get a chance to say anything else. Her mom said, I don't like hearing that you guys are leaving someone out. That's not the way we act in Old Harmony. But Julia said, You know what Steve Jobs believed? Julia's mom asked, and Julia rolled her eyes. Her mom was always quoting Steve Jobs. He believed it was the weird ones, the odd ducks, those are the people who changed the world. She looked across the street, and some sort of worry fluttered across her face, but then she trained her gaze right on me. You should know that better than anyone, Maury. I felt myself go hot. Was Julia's mom calling me weird? Uh-huh, I said. Dr. Varden and your great-grandmother, back at the beginning, they thought of themselves as odd ducks. The world didn't quite know what to make of them, but this was their place, and they changed the world. They made history. I looked at the ground. So go swim, she said. Alana will be over in a minute. We trudged back to the pool. I can't believe her mother talked to mine. What a loser, Julia said. I guess maybe she's lonely, Benji said. He hopped from slate tile to slate tile on the path. Whatever, I still think it's stupid. Theo didn't say anything, and neither did I. I just felt sick to my stomach, sick about what Julia's mom had said, and sick about seeing Alana. Julia and I tucked into the little pool house. I kept the spare bathing suit there and shimmied out my clothes to change into it. You think it's stupid, don't you? Julia asked. That she had her mom do the talking instead of just coming to see us. We never said she couldn't come with us to the playground. We never left her out. She left herself out. I yanked the straps of my bathing suit up over my shoulders. I guess, I said. Then, maybe. I don't know. Julia huffed, but she didn't say anything. She grabbed her goggles from a peg on the wall, and a moment later I heard a splash that I assumed was her diving into the water. I kept my goggles in a special case by the door. I carried them out, took my glasses off, and was pulling on my goggles when Alana came down the path. She was only wearing her bathing suit, brightly striped in orange and yellow. Hi, Amori, she said. Julia was doing handstands in the water, or I bet Alana would have said a cheery hello to her, too. Hi, I mumbled, then hurried into the pool. The water was sweet relief. I grabbed a couple of pool noodles and hung on them. Theo and Benji came out of the pool house in their swim trunks. Benji lowered himself down onto the stairs. Ah, he sighed. Pool, have I ever told you how much I love you? Theo did a cannonball into the deep end that sent little waves the length of the pool. Right after him, Alana jumped in with a sleek can opener. They traded jumps for a while, each one a bit more elaborate than the last. Spins, straddles, backwards dives. Then Alana ran and did a forward flip in the air, diving deep across the water and popping up near me. Hi, Maury, she said again. She had her huge smile on her face, the one that crinkled her eyes. My heart felt lighter just to see her, and for a second it was like nothing had changed. I felt myself smiling back at her. Hi, I said. Maybe nothing had changed. Maybe it was all in my head. So, Benji said, leaning back and looking up at the sun, the wrens are bugging me about my latency, and I want some idea of what I'm thinking before I go in for my final testing next month. Benji was one of the oldest in our grade. His birthday was in the fall, so he was going to have to make his choice before school started. What do you think you want? I asked. Benji glanced over at Ilana. I have many intellectual strengths, he said. I'm good at designing and building and implementing. Then, of course, there are mathematics, computer science, and we get it, Benji, Theo said. You're amazing. You probably don't even need a latency. Your genius is already wild and running free. True that, Benji said. Still, everyone has a latency, and I plan on picking a good one. I'm really leaning toward the mechanical. He turned back to Alana. I designed a skateboard ramp that measures your velocity, the torque on the wheels, the air you got, any measurement you can think of. My parents won't let me build it, but if I did, it would be way coolio. Sounds like it, she said. Way coolio. I had this internship in a lab where they put these computer chips into mice. Why? She interrupted. It's a long story, but the point is, I realized that there was a hiccup in the system, and relaying the data, and I designed to fix. It practically wanted to hire me on the spot. Benji's mother doesn't believe in dampening, or else she definitely would have put the reins on his modesty, Julia said, splashing water at Benji. It's just so sad how he thinks so poorly of himself. He doesn't think poorly of himself, Alana replied. In fact, he seemed to have a very healthy ego for a small preteen boy. Joking, Julia said, and whoa, weirdness. I'm not exactly small, Benji said. I'm definitely in the average range. The small side of average, but still totally normal. I did not want this to dissolve into more of Alana being pushed out of our circle, so I turned to Theo. What was it like when you got yours? I hadn't brought it up all summer, not since he'd been so cruel the day after it had been done. I was afraid just mentioning it would relight that angry spark. It's like a regular doctor's appointment. You go in and they scan you, and then you just lie down, they put you to sleep. When you wake up, it's done. That's it? I asked. I had a terrible headache, he said. He got onto the side of the pool, and I had weird dreams. I remember that. Like all of Firefly Lane was being sucked into this big sinkhole. It was bottomless, and the trees were going down at roots and all, and the houses too. I knew I had to get out. I knew I had to find. He stopped himself. Then he took a deep breath. I had to find Maury and I had to find Benji. What about Julia or your mom? I asked. I guess I knew they were okay. It was a dream. It didn't have to make sense. Trust me, Theo, only in your dreams would you ever need to rescue me, Julia said. And then what about after? I asked. Well, I guess I was a little cranky. Just a little, Julia scoffed. He ignored her, and tired, and hungry. Man, I was so hungry. I thought I could eat everything out of the delivery van and let the whole rest of the neighborhood starve. And here what was really weird. After, they had me solving all these logic puzzles to see how it worked, and my mind would pull one way, and it was like someone else stepped in and yanked me back the other way. They had to go in and do some adjustments. Adjustments? Yeah, just getting the levels right. That's what the doctor said. The latency is really a dampening. They dampen certain areas in the left side of your brain so your right side isn't hindered at all. And sometimes they just make a little error of calculation. That's why I had to go back a couple of times. There were a few more adjustments than normal. It's fine now, but that's why I was so. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. I don't think I need a latency either, Alana said. I coughed into the water. Of course, she didn't need a latency. She was already constructed to be perfect, and I bet they could adjust her at any time, probably from some big central command at Krita. Sure, Alana, Julia said. Anyway, Theo said, Benji, did you hear that they might be getting a skate park over in Fruitlands? What? No way. No way. I ducked my head underwater. It was easier than lying. Lying to Benji and Julia about Alana. Lying to Alana about what I knew. I felt my hair swirling around my face and shoulders. With both hands, I pushed it away and opened my eyes. There was Alana staring right back at me. Her green blue eyes were lovely, even underwater, maybe even more so. And then, like someone turning off a switch, her eyes closed and she started sinking down. Her arms and her hair drifted up as her body slipped down and down and down. I thought it was a game, like she was trying to scare me, like when she jumped off the swing set. She promised me that she would never frighten me again, not on purpose. And even with all the things that had changed, I knew she would never break a promise to me. I swam to her and tugged on her arm. She barely moved. My own lungs were starting to get tight. I pushed on her, but she didn't open her eyes, didn't flinch. My lungs screamed. I wanted her to open her eyes to look at me, for the light to flash back on, but she just sank lower and lower. Hooking my arms under hers, I kicked and dragged along to the surface of the water. My fingers pressed into the skin and by her shoulders, soft and firm as warm clay. My small fingers barely registered. I was surprised by her weight, the heft of her. It was like pulling a bucket through the water. When I burst through to the fresh air, I coughed out for help. I'm not sure who pulled her from the water. Julia and Benji, maybe. The light of the sun was so bright in my eyes, and colors danced around the edges of my vision. Theo grabbed me by the wrist and tugged me to the side of the pool. You okay? He demanded between heavy breaths. I didn't answer. I watched as Julia tilted Alana's chin back. Drops of water spilled from Alana's hair and onto the pool deck. One clung to the side of her face. Benji, go get help, Julia cried. I laughed, I think. It was just like in our first aid classes. The teacher said you should always designate one person to go for help, and or else no one might go, and we had always done it in such an exaggerated fashion. And now, here it was for real, with Julia's lips forming the words so carefully, and Benji springing to his feet. Maury, are you okay? Theo asked again. I managed to nod. He still had his hand on my arm, and I wasn't sure if it was to stop me from slipping underwater or to help me from going over to Alana. Julia placed her mouth on Alana's, and the ends of her braids fell down onto Alana's face. Did it tickle? Can you feel anything when the breath has gone out of you? Julia blew a stream of air that inflated Alana's lungs. Pause, then again, and again. From the house, I heard a screen door slam shut, and then there was Julia's mom running down the path with Benji right behind, throwing open the fence to the pool. Here, Benji called and spread his arms wide as if we had created this tableau just for Julia's mother. It's Alana, I said. I'm fine. I swiveled my head back. Alana was sitting up on the deck of the pool. The drop of water still clung to her cheek, and she brushed it away. Her hair, heavy with water, seemed so much longer than usual, like a dark river going down her back. I raked my own hair out of my face. Next to me, Theo breathed hard. Julia still kneeled beside Alana. What happened? Julia's mom demanded. I'm fine, Alana said again. Julia's mom looked at her daughter, then at Alana, then at me, but none of us said a word. Anna didn't want to go home, so I brought her to my house. Mom was sitting outside waiting for us. Julia's mother told me what happened, Alana. Are you sure you wouldn't be more comfortable at your house? No, I'm fine, thanks, though. I could run a quick scan. Alana cocked her head to the side. I don't think that's necessary. Do you? No, I suppose not. We walked upstairs and down the hall. So this is my room, I said. I guess you've never been in here before. She spun around to see it all, then picked up a small trophy on my desk. It's for soccer. Everyone got one for something. Mine was for stick-to-itiveness. Not even a word. Julia got MVP. Of course. And now that she's had her latency released, no, she hasn't. She's not 13 yet. Alana raised an eyebrow. Every rule can be flexed, Maury. She put the trophy down and picked up a thick binder from my desk. It had all my drawings in it, carefully organized by genus and species. She opened it, and her face softened into a smile. Is this what you were telling me about? How you were cataloging everything in Oak Edge? I nodded. It's really good, Maury. No, I said. The drawings are so shaky. No one but me could even tell what they are. I can tell, she said. She turned the book so I could see. That's a pink lady slipper. It says it right underneath. But I can tell anyway. See how you got the way it bends down toward the ground? It's a humble, beautiful flower, don't you think? I had never thought of the flower that way, but when she said it, I knew she was right. They almost went extinct, she said. It took a long time to grow, and they need the special fungus in the soils. People would dig them up, but then they wouldn't grow, not outside of their natural habitat. I didn't know that, I told her. So we're lucky that they belong in Oak Edge. I guess so. Alana put down the binder and looked at the hollow picks I had on a shelf above my desk. There were a lot of me and Julia, of course. My favorite was one we'd taken with Theo and Benji the summer before. We were all in the jungle gym at the playground. Theo stood up at the top with his arms above his head. Benji held on with one hand and had one foot on another bar, while his other arm and leg were stuck out to the side. He said it was like a skateboard trick he was going to learn. Julia hung by her knees so that her braids fell straight down toward the ground. I was sitting in one of the spaces towards the bottom. There'd been a time when I loved the top too, but now the old thing seemed too wobbly and frail to risk it. We all had goofy smiles, and it was clear we were as happy as could be. That was before Alana. She looked back over her shoulder. We need to get a picture of me and you. Maybe out in Oak Edge. Maybe, I said. I picked up Prince Philip and put him on the windowsill so he could look out. We really should get out there tomorrow and check on the garden. I'll see if I can. Oh, wait, shoot. She sounded just like herself, her old self. It made my head hurt to think about. What? I asked. I just remember I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. I had it before this even happened. I went last week and they need me to come again this week. Why? I asked. She shook her head. I'm not sure. Do you think you could come with me? Would they let me? I don't know. Never mind. It was stupid. No, I want to go. I just never thought of having a friend come to the doctor's office with me. But get me in the morning. I'll go. Okay. Promise? Promise. She didn't come. Theo found me waiting on her front step. Hey, he said as he came up to the driveway. He looked like he'd just taken a shower, and his face for once was combed out of his eyes. Hey, I said back. So, he said. Yesterday was pretty weird, huh? We had told her Julia wouldn't have saved her. She'd be dead. I don't know if she can really die. He looked up at the house, then held out his hand to help me to my feet. He started walking back to his house. The sun was already beating down on us, and the air felt like molasses. It was going to be another miserable day. But Julia gave her mouth to mouth, and it saved her. She breathed. Respiration would be about the easiest thing for the AI people to recreate. I pulled her out of the water without thinking. Once my brain caught up, I thought, this is silly. They'll just reboot her. She'll be better than ever. If I had thought for even a second, I wouldn't have bothered. I would have let her drown. But you didn't, Maury. I think we were wrong about her, Theo. Maybe they did create her, but that doesn't mean she isn't real. You think we should go back to number 9 and try to find out more about her? We can't really solve this until we have all the pieces, and there's probably more information in that computer. Just the thought of booting up the computer made my stomach sour. I think I'm going to go home, actually, I told him. Okay, sure, he said. I turned, then he said, there was something else I wanted to tell you, about yesterday. I pivoted back around to look at him, but he stared down at his sneakers. I don't mean to be so cranky, you know. I asked them to dampen it, my temper, but they said I needed it. They said the temper was tied to quick thinking, and that was part of your problem, the problem solving in puzzles. You asked them? I say things sometimes. As he spoke, his fingers drummed against his leg. I see them, and it's like he blushed and looked down. What? It's stupid, but it's like I can see the words coming out like speech bubbles in a cartoon. I want to just cross them out, you know. I don't mean things I say, not always. He looked right at me. I didn't mean the things I said in the playground that day after my latency. I never thought that about you. I reached out and put my hand on his arm and let his fingers stop drumming. He looked at the hand there, my skinny fingers on his tan skin. Then he smiled and said, "Well, except for what I say about Benji. That kid really can be a numbnut." I checked him lightly with my hip. "Thanks for telling me, Theo. I just wanted you to know." My hand was still on his arm. It felt both strange and natural at the same time. "I'll see you later," I told him. "Sure, okay. And I'm going to try. With Alana, I'm going to try. I hope you will too." He looked up at me right in the eye. "I will, Maury. I promise."